Ah, come on. Stop touching the wrong thing.
That's what she said.
There we go. That's a lot better.
Oh man. What's up, man? It's been a few days.
You've been wimping out on me this time.
Yeah, I know, right?
The other way around.
Yeah. I don't know, man. It's Mike Shockey from the Cantina for the audience said yesterday in our company Slack chat, our super duper private chat, that he doesn't remember people getting sick sick as often before 2020. And in general, it's always like, what is something really more common, or do you just notice it more? But I really truly believe that we being my family are getting sicker more often than we used to. But yeah, that's where we've been, ladies and gentlemen. That's what's been going on. So welcome back to the Daily Cup of Genre here on the Genreverse YouTube channel and podcast network, wherever you get your podcast from. Please follow us on that app. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're watching there. We got a lot of other great content, everything from anime to Star Wars. I mentioned the Cantina. We're reviewing Mandalorian season 3 on that, so check that out, and a lot more. I'm Kyle, that's Manny, and you guys will have to forgive me if I do run out of breath, or if I feel like cutting the episode a bit short, but I do enjoy doing these. That's why we're here. It ain't the money yet.
That's fine.
Please make it about the money for us, guys. That would be great.
Oh boy.
Yeah, man. It's been an interesting week. There's actually a real news story I do want to get to from this week, but not yet. We had, the Last of Us ended this week. We had, excuse me, as I'm turning my notes page here. We had The Last of Us, and we had some. God, see, I even had a list. Hold on one second, guys. We had stuff going on, but it hasn't been too super busy. But the Last of Us, Christine and I, of course, watched it that night. Really enjoyed it. I didn't know how that happened. Like I said, I know like certain punctuation parts of the game. Like I know the controversy for part 2. It's interesting. I heard that the adaptation of part 2 might be multiple seasons, which in my mind is like, well, why didn't you make part 1 multiple seasons?
Yeah.
Why part 2? Twitter's a bubble and all, but man, part 2 did not seem to get the audience acclaim that the first did. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, we all know that the only reason it's going to be multiple seasons is just because of how well season 1 did. I would almost bet my retirement check on the fact that they did not have multiple seasons for part 2 planned before this was such a success, which I don't mind. It's good if it's good, it's good. But what'd you think of it, man? Christine and I really liked it. What'd you think?
Well, the issue I had with it was that I think that for me the finale was so action oriented. You played did you play the game again? I'm sorry.
No, you have. I haven't.
So the that entire sequence of the hospital is so action oriented when you're trying to get in to find her and then trying to get out, and then finally you have that confrontation, that it that when they did it on TV and it was like he just really walked in and grabbed her and walked out, it was kind of like, oh, oh, that's it. Okay. Like it just, to me, it felt a little flat.
Okay.
And I haven't had necessarily a moment like that where it fell flat to me, and that for that reason it did. There's nothing wrong with it necessarily, other than like it's a moment because they're trying to stop him.
Yeah.
And you kind of like hint at it a bit, but it like if you just watched the TV show, you'd think he just walked in and grabbed her and walked out.
Well, I mean,
in reality,
you see him kill a whole bunch of people. He does have to fight quite a bit to get through that, and trust me, man. While I haven't had to fight in buildings like that, I've done training fighting in buildings like that, and urban combat, whether you're in the streets or in a building, that is rough. But like I said, I haven't done the in the building part and outside of training, and that is more stressful than the streets in many ways.
Yeah, you definitely.
So I dug it.
Speaking of that, you could have also added. There's another group of people. I don't remember what they're called, but they use all kinds of sounds and noises to communicate with each other, and they do kind of a lot of like urban combat, and they hide, and they're very good. I don't know. I just think that season 1 could have been 2 seasons. I just don't know if they thought that because it was technically, I mean, if you want to strip everything down to its just like something very, very like simple, a zombie show, really.
Yeah.
That I don't know if they had ultimate faith in it, because I do think it should have been 2 seasons, because there's a lot of things that you could have
expanded on.
Expanded on quite a bit. I'm not mad at it, but what's gonna make it weird now is for season 2 is what's your direction now? Like, are you gonna? Because the thing is we're so enamored with Joel and Ellie.
Are they gonna expand on between part 1 and 2? I think that's what they're likely going to do. I don't want to spoil anything for the show only people, but I know exactly what you're getting at. And is that what you think they'll do, is expand on stuff between?
Well, either that, or are they going to?
They're not going to change it. They already said that.
Well, no, they can't change it, because then you, but then because in the second game you're switching perspectives.
Yes.
Quite often. Are you going to have a more of a focus on one for one season and then another one on the other season, with the risk of losing some of your audience because they're not interested in something
the
else?
Next part. Yeah.
Or are you going to go back and forth and kind of, and it might get a little muddy?
I think it's going to get muddy. I think they're going to look for a way to balance the things that people like about this season and the things people disliked about the second game. I think they're going to find a way, or they're going to be trying to find a way to balance that, to stretch out where they can to provide maximum of what season 1 has offered, what the first game and part of the second game offered. But I think the latter half of season 2, or even the beginning of season 2, will kind of really set things off on the or not season 2, but the second part of part 2, season 3. There you go, Kyle. I think season 3 will relatively be more of the second game. I don't know, man. They might try to just stretch out stretch things out a bit in season 2, but maybe halfway through season 2 you make the switch, so that way maybe you can get people invested enough in the changes, so that they will continue to season 3. It's gonna be interesting to see. I don't have a horse in the race, as far as like attachment to either game. I like the story I've seen so far, knowing what I do know, and I don't know specific details. I just know the events. The whole revenge plot could really work for me, but I don't know. I'll have to wait and see. You know, we did enjoy it, and we don't watch a lot of non-informative or non-YouTube live action stuff. So it was nice to hang out in the 3D world for a moment before immediately running for safety in the sweet embrace of animation, mostly anime, but still American Dad's great. Like that show a lot. The Last of Us, there you go. Woo!
Yeah, let's love it for what it is, though. I'll tell you, I will say that, like, you know, it was fantastic overall. It should be a blueprint in how to do video game movies or television shows, where you take a lot of good out of it, you sacrifice some of the other stuff, you sprinkle in some new content.
Yep.
Oh, and it helps to have great actors. Yeah.
You know what sucks though? We actually have to compliment Sony on this, because it's a Sony Pictures thing, man, and it's a PlayStation thing. It is. Is Amy's name on that? Please tell me it's not. I don't think it is.
I doubt it. It's a TV show.
I will admit,
it's a TV show done for HBO Max. So
quite often my ire for Sony can usually be pointed to, what is it, Vince Zacara and Fox, I think it was, and Amy Pascal. Talk about one of the absolute worst there is. No, she's not involved in that one. Thank the maker. It gives me somewhat some hope for things like God of War, although I heard, and I don't know if it was official or not, but that the God of War series is going to skip the Greek stuff and go for the recent games, the relaunch from a few years ago, and Ragnarok, which I think would be a huge mistake, to skip over the Greek part of God of War.
Yeah, that I'm not even gonna get into that.
Did you hear the same thing?
Yeah, they're just gonna go
official?
with kind of the current games. I don't know if it's official, but that's what I've heard also. And that'd be a huge mistake.
Okay, so Engadget, Sony announced, according to Hollywood Reporter, and this was December of last year. I'm reading from Engadget. They cite THR for everyone listening, but the series will follow Kratos through the events of the 2018 reboot. So yeah, that I think is disappointing. I know that they could show flashbacks of the Greek stuff, but let's face it, man. Like that first God of War game and God of War 3 especially, I know is a beloved one. Those were badass games with some amazing fights, and I haven't played through the reboot, mostly because I couldn't get into the controls. Taking away jumping from Kratos, a character that I was used to, I mean, to me that was almost as bad as taking jumping away from if you took jumping away from Mario, because the combinations, the swift fast, like I got it. The axe is badass, the story is great, but it was a combo game, a high speed thing for me. I couldn't get into the switch up. Didn't hate it for story or anything, just I couldn't really get into it mechanically. But I know a lot of people like it, but I mean, did you like the reboot and the new controls?
I'll be honest with you, I've never been a stickler for controls.
Oh, okay.
So because I've played so many different games that tweak controls, and especially because I've never complained about Resident Evil controls. I guess that I don't really it doesn't really the gameplay doesn't really bother me as far as like I'm more interested in how immersed I am in the
Hey,
in
although
the
you
world.
gotta admit, once 4 came around before they went to first person, once you realized what Resident Evil could have been, you wouldn't want to play tank controls ever again.
It's kind of now it's kind of nostalgic and you kind of expect it. It's just part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. 4 is coming back out though.
Yep.
Very soon. So
I'm excited.
I'm excited to get to revisit that world.
Yep.
My daughter's been playing through them.
I enjoyed both
as they come out. So.
I haven't finished 3. I started it, didn't finish it, but not because it was bad, just got busy. But the remake of 2 was great. Remake of 3 plays great. I can't wait for 4.
Yeah, it's good. I mean,
Sony needs to get their act together for Resident Evil though, man, because that is just it's such a ripe world to do the.
I want them to do the
right
the latest franchise, starting with the house.
That's what they'll do. If they do try to do it again, they'll go with 7 and 8. Yeah.
Because man, 7 was crazy scary.
And see, that for me is the only reason that I played a bit of it. Only reason I didn't go into is Resident Evil for me is a third person thing. I couldn't get into the first person aspect. It wasn't like it was awful. I'm not saying you use trash. I'm always gonna have the past games and these remakes of course. So I'm happy with that. But I don't know. It's just I guess because with first person, and I know it offers great opportunities for situational awareness with not being able to see behind you and stuff like that. But Resident Evil wasn't. Resident Evil is much about its format, its third person format in your tactical planning in your when you're, especially when you have like Tyrant against you in the police station, and you are you memorize certain layouts, so when that bastard shows up, you know where to run, where to turn, and all that. The first person aspect kind of changed all of that in a way, because you can't see all the way around yourself. So I get some of the pluses, but it really changed enough of the game for me that I couldn't stick with it. But hey, if it works for you, it works for you. But bravo, Sony, you bastards still suck at Spider-Man, and I despise everything you do with Marvel. Get your shit together, jackasses.
Well,
there,
I mean,
Janet, was that fair and balanced enough for you?
I'm using a Sony right now, a EV Z110 or whatever, to shoot my video. So that's also a Sony.
Sony Electronics and computer, PlayStation. I'm a PlayStation whore, man. I've got 2, 3, 4, and 5 here in the house. 4 Pro, bitches. But no, man. I'm worried about the Horizon show, because they're showing the past, which I don't know if it works it does for game fans in a way, but to bring on new fans the way The Last of Us did, people want to see the robot dinosaurs. They don't want to see how we get to robot dinosaurs. You know what I'm saying?
I've never played the game.
You've never played the game, but if I told you could either see a story with essentially cave people in a post-apocalyptic world taking on robot dinosaurs, or you can watch how we got to robot dinosaurs, which one are you more interested in?
I am a gentleman, so I will take the dinosaurs.
There you go.
500.
There you go. Thank you.
This is like Transformers when they promised us dinosaurs on our dinosaur tour.
I like what you did there, Manny. That was good. I like that.
So
yeah,
dinosaurs.
I'm worried about that idea, but I don't know. Maybe there's always been this thing about them wanting to do a Final Fantasy series, and the big question always is, do you just tell an original story? Maybe bring on writers, directors from the games to tell a new original story, or do you pick a game and to adapt? I think with what they did with The Last of Us, I think they could potentially pick a game and adapt. But they would have to be very, very careful on which game they picked to be able to film it, because some of them get quite freaking epic. So it'll be interesting. Although I think an original story would probably be best, and I would set it in a game world though, and it would be Ivalice, the world for Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 12, Vagrant story, whatever, Vagrant story, I think is what it is. Also took place in that world, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah. Anyways, the one story I did actually have two, but kind of want to talk about Dwyane Johnson talking about his work on Black Adam and stuff like that. And here, I got it. He's got this quote speaking to Variety about the Cavill situation, Black Adam thing. Actually, Manny, if you don't mind for the audience, I'm gonna send you this quote because it's kind of running out of breath.
Is it the one that Cam posted?
Yeah. All that I can do. Thank you.
Yeah. When he was speaking with Variety, he said, "All that I can do, and all that we could do when we were making Black Adam was to put our best foot forward and surround ourselves with the best people and deliver the best movie we could." Johnson said, "Our audience score was in the 90s. Critics took a couple of shots, but that's just the business of it. It's almost like when you have a pro football team and your quarterback wins championships, and your head coach wins championships, and then a new owner comes in and says, 'Not my coach, not my quarterback. I'm going in with someone new.'"
You know, Cam immediately goes in and thinks the same thing that I do, and even you have before. He goes, if this is true, what Johnson's point of view, then Cavill and Black Adam, The Rock, were the cornerstones of the DC and our DCEU, and the DCEU was wildly successful. Neither of which are true. I guess you could kind of say Cavill was the anchor for the DCEU, but it wasn't The Rock or Black Adam. But it wasn't wildly successful either. Yeah.
No, that is wrong. Absolutely wrong. The issue I have with the quote is that you made one movie in the entire span of the DCEU, and your movie was announced pretty early on. And I mean, you spent years and years trying to put that together, and then after all that is the best you had.
Yeah.
I think that's one of my bigger issues. And then the fact that you made a movie and you absolutely made sure that you were the spotlight in it, because of the fact that because that's just the type of person that you are, and then you were still outshined by a character, Dr. Fate. I would argue that a lot of people came out of that movie saying Dr. Fate was pretty cool. We need to see more of Dr. Fate instead of saying Black Adam is the guy who's gonna change everything. No, it didn't work. And if you didn't have that Dr. Fate character, and if you didn't have that Henry Cavill cameo, what really were you left with? It was almost a bait and switch at the end where you got very excited because of a character you wanted to see and that you loved. Um and then also the fact that you didn't want a cameo in Shazam, and you didn't want to necessarily appear in other make other you're not an, you're not you're no you're no one more important than any. Shazam is a way better has been a way better character in the DCEU, and
Look for
unfortunately
Breaking Geek Radio's review of Shazam later this week here on the Genreverse.
yeah, you don't, it just didn't work. And honestly, it is what it is, man. You're and the thing is, and the thing is about it, with the regime change, it kind of saved him, because he has that excuse where, well, the regime changed, and that's why we're not going forward, where maybe they would have not moved forward with him anyway. We don't know that, because it didn't do very well, and all the other movies that didn't do very well, it's not like they continue to make them. So I mean, characters like even Aquaman has had more say in even the Flash, who hasn't really appeared yet too much. Cyborg, with as much work as in the Snyder version that he had in there, more impact than The Rock. Sorry, but yeah. It was basically The Rock cosplay.
Yeah.
So to say that you were it's like, no, you didn't do enough to really to say that. Like, go sit down, drink some Terramana, and enjoy your XFL for now. Respect for the guy. I enjoyed him as a wrestler, and I've enjoyed a lot of his movies. But as far as the work he's done in DC, it was all about him, not about making DC better. When with Henry Cavill, he's worked with them. He's cameoed in certain things.
Yeah.
Honestly, Wonder Woman's another one. There's a lot of group efforts there, and I don't feel like he wanted to make a group effort. He wanted to make it all about him. Hell, there was that rumor that he didn't know that he was going to be the centerpiece going forward. Yeah, that's what he wanted. Yeah. Oh my God.
Sure.
Like, Black Adam's a good character. He's not a world ender he's a movie.
But Black Adam versus Superman, man, come on.
No,
man.
that's a good fight. Now, but I'm saying that's a movie, not an entire 3-film thing.
Yeah. It is what it is. It's gonna be interesting to see what the new DCU ends up being like.
They already spoiled one cameo on the TV by accident.
I don't think that was an accident.
I think it was. I think someone in marketing. Well, yeah, because even Sandberg wasn't very happy about it.
Really?
So yeah, no.
I mean, there were already rumors that people had already known about the cameo being in it, or at least rumored being in it. But the thing people were most afraid of was that it was cut. That's why I don't think it was an accident. I think they did that to be like, look, it isn't cut, so definitely, please come see our movie.
People are gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it anyway. I don't think it needed that. I think it was a mistake.
I think the Miller thing weighs on some people. That's why it was heavy on the Keaton, and then I think showing her. Look, I'm not saying that they're super scared, but I'm saying that they are trying to maximize. That's how
all I'm saying is
it.
that anytime you have Batman in a project, you focus on Batman and it'll do fine.
That's
because
true.
because if you noticed on that Super Bowl day when that came out, it was no longer the Flash movie.
Yeah.
and whatever, I'm okay with it. It's like, wow, did you see Batman? And then it was like, oh look, we have a new Supergirl. And then it was like, oh yeah, and it's a Flash movie.
Yeah. Well, I am starting to kind of get worn down. So the other story I had wanted to talk about is the Marvel shutting down the Marvel Studios spoiler subreddit. That's going to be an interesting thing to watch. Maybe we'll talk about it tomorrow or later.
Freaking should.
There's a lot of legal questions on how do you are you really stealing something? Is this corporate espionage? Is this theft? Is this journalism? Because these people are getting information from people inside of Marvel. They're just reporting on it. There's a lot of like I said, interesting business and legal stuff interesting to me. But I need to read more because Google's involved and there's a lot to it. So
not too much, because anytime I even go to screen a Disney episode of every episode of The Mandalorian I've seen so far, every movie that I've seen with them, regardless of how big or small the project, I sign an NDA.
You do.
And is as a screener, as somebody, as a journalist.
Right.
Now, I can't imagine anyone working for them not having to do a similar thing.
Right. They do, but is subreddit, because they don't sign the NDA. The Redditors allegedly don't sign an NDA. They don't agree not to talk about stuff that they see or hear. So unless the subredditors are employees or people like you, that's what I'm saying is the curious part. Because if you sign an NDA, you come and tell me something, and then I write an article about it, you would be the one to get in trouble, not me. You should be the one. That's what I'm saying is the curious thing, because here they're trying to compel this relative public sphere speaking area. They're trying to compel them to give up sources. That's where the interesting stuff comes in. Like I said, is reporting on leaks that you hear from someone inside. If you're not the person inside, there's going to be some precedent set. I'm very curious about this. So
I'm all for it being shut down, man. That's just how I feel.
That's a speech thing, though, man, because I have the right to say whatever I hear. I do. I don't. It would be screwed up for me to, if anyone tells me something that they signed an NDA about and I blab, that is an awful thing to do, but it's my right. I'm not bound by it.
But like you said,
so
it is an awful thing to do.
It is a terrible thing to do, but it's my right to do it. And I don't want to see anything take that right away, start to diminish that right, say that right only exists in verbal person to person, because that's a dangerous precedent, Manny. That's implications above and beyond Marvel or Star Wars spoilers. That has implications on what government can do to limit speech in ways that, that's scary, man.
I think you're expanding a little way too far, because
dude,
we've had to take. Do you
understand how precedent works?
We've had to take articles down from our site because of Reddit.
I got it.
So,
do you understand how precedent works here, though?
Yeah, I'm speaking of movies in production. That's what I'm speaking on. Our television shows. That's what I'm speaking of.
Yeah. And it's one thing to ask you to take down an article. It's another thing to shut down an entire thing. And that's another point. Do you look at subreddit as do you look at a subreddit as a individual aspect of something bigger, or is it an individual thing despite it being on a larger dude? This is not as cut and dry as someone it's social.
It's another version of social media, and it's become such a thing where people go for their news and for information, and they shut stuff down on Instagram and Twitter all the time. This is no different.
Dude, okay. We'll see. I can't go on. I'm sorry, guys. I want to. It's a great topic, but you guys can check out entertainment news on lrmonline.com, celebrity interviews as well, all of the great podcasts on your favorite podcast apps, and of course everything you can listen to, you can watch on the YouTube channel, in addition to anime reactions and trailer reactions. Manny, any other words?
I'll have an interview with some guest stars tomorrow of Lopez versus Lopez. I also have an interview with Al Madrigal that's up already on our site. That was a lot of fun from last week's episode, and also one of the hosts from E! News, and so we'll get a little background on his career and what he sees going forward in 2023. So yeah, really cool stuff. My interviews may slow down a bit, slower than they already are, but it's all for good reason. Everybody stay safe, stay dry if you can, and spring and summer are on their way. No worries. And everyone who was praying for rain, stop it. Although the prayers went in at the same time. There was lag apparently. All right, guys.
See you guys next time. Bye.